Gary Parrish, welcome back. CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball Podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting dodo birds. Leaky Black. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, you know what to do to the like button. Shouts to Brandon Davies. And if you haven't yet subscribed to the CBS Sports College Basketball YouTube channel, I'd love it if you did that while you're here. Let's get into it. Ain't much happened in the sport of college basketball since we last talked to you. The most notable result, it came inside Carver Hawkeye. Final score, Iowa State 89, Iowa 80. It happened last night. That means TJ Otzelberger Cyclones are now 8-1 with victories over Marquette, Dayton, Iowa, and Colorado. The only loss on the resume, it's an 83-81 loss to number 2 Auburn on a neutral court. Norlander, Iowa State went 29-8 last season, finished alone in second in the best conference in the country, got a number 2 seed in the NCAA tournament, made the Sweet 16, finished 8th at KenPom, and then returned the top 4 scorers from that team. Can you remind me again why you had Iowa State ranked outside of the top 20 in your preseason rankings?
Can we just talk about the game?
Could you remind me just one last time, and then I'll let this go. But can you remind me again why you had Iowa State outside of your top 20 in your preseason rankings?
Because every year there are teams picked inside the top 15 that wind up being certainly well outside of that. And I tried to predict that the Iowa State Cyclones would be one such team. I was wrong. Hold on. One of us has to actually have accountability on this podcast, so it will be me. Here we go.
That one's on me. I was wrong.
Yeah, here's another one.
You lose.
Yeah, I'll give myself one more.
You lose.
How about this one? How about this prediction? Yeah, that was me. Oh. I was wrong. Iowa State, by the way, is the best ranked team in the net, in strength of record, in wins above bubble, in KPI. All of those are where Iowa State outpaces everyone in the Big 12. Predictive metrics still like Houston over Iowa State, but it's been an impressive go of it so far. 4-1 in quad 1 and 2. That's 5 games total. They match the likes of Houston, Baylor, Kansas, West Virginia. Those teams have all played 5 quad 1 and quad 2 games so far. We won't get too deep into the resume stuff. It's just December 13th. But the point is this. In quad 1 and quad 2 right now, Iowa State is 4-1. Houston is 2-3 in quad 1 and quad 2. Baylor, 2-3. Kansas is 3-2 overall, and then West Virginia's only played 4 games. They're 2-2. So Otzelberger's crew looking good. I did watch this game. Joshua Jefferson, really the whole crew, what they were able to show yet again. I mean, they had 5 guys scoring double figures. Jefferson had 19 points, 10 boards, 7 assists. Curtis Jones had 23 points, and they were able to overcome a 13-point road deficit against a hated rival. It's the first time in 10 years. These schools play every other year, whether you're home or away. And they play every year, but every other year you're going to get the home game or the road game. And it had been 10 years since Iowa State won at Carver Hawkeye. They get it done and were able to dictate the terms in the second half. Iowa looked well-oiled and on its way to a really nice and needed resume win, but it was not good in the second half. ISU clamped down, just 27% from beyond the arc, 32% overall from the field in the second half for Fran McCaffrey's team. And as a result, Iowa State continues to build out a really, really good resume. Meantime, Iowa, it's 7-3. It's got one halfway okay win over Washington State. We'll see. I actually think Washington State might sneakily be able to build out an NCAA tournament roster. We'll see about that. But you got that, and you got a win over Northwestern at home at the buzzer. Shouts to Josh Dix. But they've lost to Utah State, which is a top 50 KenPom team, lost to Michigan, which is a top 25 KenPom team, and then just lost to Iowa State, which is a top 10 team. So Iowa, as of this morning, still does not have a top 50 win, and it has one halfway decent non-con game remaining against a Utah team that might not make the tournament either.
I thought for a minute we were in a trust the building situation last night when I turned it on. I was like, here we go. It's another trust the building situation. Iowa State was down 13. And, when you're down double digits on the road to your in-state rival, like you're up against it. I don't have any data to support this. I bet you when you go down double digits to your rival on the road, it doesn't usually end well for you. And yet they looked the part in the second half, added another quadrant 1 victory. That's the third of the season. And I'm lying. I will keep going back to the fact that you had them outside of the top 20 in the preseason. But I completely, if I'm being honest with you, I understand it. If you decide I want to look for somebody that everybody thinks is good, that the computers think really good, but I'm going to say they're going to be the one that, if you are searching for, hey, I got to pick one, I got to pick somebody. It made sense because, like, you look at that roster. This is what I led the top 25-1 on this morning. I don't know that I'm pretty sure there's not a lottery pick on the roster. I bet there's not a first round pick on the roster. I'm not 100% sure. Like, I don't know that I'd bet my whole 401k that there's a second round pick on the roster. Although somebody on this team, maybe multiple guys on this team, are going to end up in the NBA. But it's not like the roster doesn't pop. They don't have a first team All-American who came back, but it's a great college basketball team. I don't think that's hyperbolic. This is a great college basketball team. And for 2 years now, with a lot of the same pieces, TJ Otzelberger has had one of the best teams in the country. I think you would agree with that, right?
Oh, without a doubt. And frankly, it's the switch on offense that has been the key here. Now, I saw this team in person in Maui. Iowa State fans, I know you're with me on this, easily can make the case should have beaten Auburn, but didn't. But regardless, that was a tremendous game and a first day matchup there. They lose by 2 points at the Lahaina Civic Center. But Iowa State right now is third in offensive efficiency. I think I might have mentioned this in my Maui recap from the Salt Lake City airport at 7 a.m. Previously under Otzelberger, 52nd last season in offensive efficiency, 114th the year before, and his first season 171. Traditionally, Otzelberger, who made a name for himself doing some good things at South Dakota State as well. Those teams, even at that mid-major level, none were absolutely outstanding. Previous to this, his highest ranked offensive team was 37th in the country his last year at South Dakota State in 2019. That team didn't even win the Summit League and make the NCAA tournament. So he's been able to flip the script entirely. ISU was the number one team in adjusted defensive efficiency last season. Now it's 12th. It's still really good, but it's not elite right now. We'll see if that changes. But having all those returning characters has brought about a plot twist that I don't even think ISU fans expected at this level. The fact that Iowa State has proven to be a team reliable literally every game so far to score at least 80 in every game. What? Nobody saw this coming, and it's led to where they are now. Good win, nice win. Last notable non-conference game. We might not be talking about the Cyclones here for a minute because they're going to. I will. You feel free to go ahead if you want to. If you want to recap what they do against Morgan State on December 22nd, by all means, I won't stop you. But
that's A block. That's A block material.
They're at Colorado to open on December 30th, and then they're home against Baylor on Saturday, January 4th. So about 3 weeks from now is their next truly marquee game there. But we'll see. They played Colorado in Maui, and now it's going to be one of those weird deals where that was not a conference game. It was technically a non-league game, and they're going to play the Buffaloes 3 times. So maybe they get picked off on the road to start Big 12 play. But otherwise, it's been a really great job by Otzelberger, who yet again has the Cyclones in position to be well seated. And now it's all but a lock here. He's been this 4th season, and each season they've made the tournament. And he is pacing toward each season being better than the one before. First year, they were an 11 seed that broke through to the second weekend. The year after that, they were a 6 seed but got knocked out in the first round. Last season, make the Sweet 16 again as a 2 seed. And now, who knows? They may well have a chance at a 1 seed once we get to March.
And I know I mentioned this when we did the Iowa State Summer Shoot-Around episode. I don't have all of those numbers right in front of me right now. I didn't plan on mentioning it again, but as you're talking about it, it pops into my head. He's like also on track to go down as like maybe the most accomplished Iowa State coach in history. And I know TJ would say, oh, it's way too early for that type of stuff, but like he's on pace to do things that have never been done at Iowa State with that men's basketball program. Right now, only 4 teams in the country rank inside of the top 15 in adjusted offensive efficiency and adjusted defensive efficiency in both categories, according to KenPom. And they are right now Iowa State, Tennessee, Houston, and Duke. All 4 of those schools are in the top 15 of both offense and defense, according to KenPom right now. And they could run off here. It's always probably a little silly to think somebody's going to go get into a Big 12 schedule and just, go on a long winning streak. That's not usually the way that league works. But according to KenPom right now, for whatever it's worth, they are projected to be favored in each of their next 17 games. They would be a projected favorite in each of their next 17 games and are not, as according to current numbers, would not be an underdog again, according to KenPom, until February 22nd when they play at Houston. And KenPom has that right now as a Houston 71, Iowa State 68 projected score. So I don't know that they're going to actually win 17 more in a row. In fact, clearly I would bet against that. Any smart person would tell you to. But based on current numbers and current rosters, they are projected to be a favorite in their next 17 games. They could have a really nice record for the second consecutive year.
You want to talk a stacked Saturday? Because we have a ton of games to lay out here. It is the best Saturday of the season so far, by far.
Is that your way of saying you're ready to get updated records in the Final Four and one?
It's actually not. You got to get to that.
Sportsbook, presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. We're going to do that next. First, let's get a word from our partners. All right, Norlander, despite you earlier in the week claiming that you went 4-1 in the Final 4-1 last week, you really went 3-2, just like I went 3-2. No. You're starting to sound a little bit like Patrick Reed, always just trying to get over on everybody, just constantly improving.
You're the guy who consistently lies about your performance in the Final 4-1. Can we just move on, please?
I went 3-2 last week. That's a fact. You could check the tape. You went 3-2 last week. Also a fact, even though you tried to suggest otherwise.
Don't check the tape anymore, by the way. That they used to literally have to check the tape. This show is not on tape. It's on video.
It's actually on tape.
Yeah.
I take it, put it into tape.
I'm with the lies.
It's on tape. I bet you it's on tape somewhere. I bet it's not on tape anywhere.
Correct. There we go. Yeah.
But still, I think you should check the tape if you want to. So that means the season records are now GP 13-12, Matt Norlander 11-14. It's an insurmountable lead. People are calling it an insurmountable lead.
People or a person?
I think people. If you do a Twitter search right now for @GaryParrishCBS an insurmountable lead, you won't even believe what pops up. And after you're done with that one, do one on Luigi Mangione, because you won't believe what pops up there either.
Hope you're doing it.
It's wild out there. It's time for the Final 4-1 presented by FanDuel Sportsbook. Make every moment more. Make every moment more. Game 1, Saturday, noon Eastern. It's number 17, Texas A&M versus number 11, Purdue. We're doing it inside Caitlin Clark Fieldhouse. You can watch it on CBS. That's America's most watched network. It's the network of stars. KenPom's got it, Purdue -2. Little number. That's a little number.
Well, A&M's 8-2. Purdue is 8-2. This is a really nice matchup. This kind of game is scheduled because they no longer do the Crossroads Classic, where you had the 4 Indiana-based teams that all played and rotated by the year: Notre Dame, Butler, Purdue, and Indiana. And so, in absence of that, Purdue still wants to use that building and play a game in there of note. And so they get Texas A&M to come in. This is a quality game, and as you said it right there on the eye on Saturday. A&M,
America's most watched network.
Yeah, correct.
Network of stars.
Correct. A&M's got Wade Taylor, who still he's not busted out all the way yet. Zurich Phelps been a nice addition and has been certainly a big supplement to Buzz Williams' program, to getting off to a relatively nice start. They're coming off wins against Creighton and Rutgers is A&M at the Players Era Festival, and then Wake Forest and Texas Tech. So they're on this stretch here, non-conference wise. They played Oregon before that, where they've got one high major after another, and now they go up against a Purdue team that is again equipped with a point guard of note. Oregon has that, Creighton has that, Rutgers has that, Wake Forest has that. Texas Tech not to the same extent, but they've fared pretty well overall here. For Purdue, going to get tested and wait. I don't think that Purdue has played really good teams. Bama, Marquette, most notably there. A&M style is just a little bit different than anyone they've played so far. You said the number here is Purdue -2. I will go with Purdue on that number. I will take the Boilermakers in their home state to get it done, get a win. But good balanced matchup, top 20 matchup. I like it. Good chance this is close for 40 straight minutes here. Give me the Boilermakers.
Yeah, that's a little number for a program the stature of the Boilermakers in their home state. I don't know why we had to make 4 Wade Taylors before we got one that could lead a top 20 team in scoring, but that's what it took, whatever it takes. So now we got Wade Taylor the 4th. I would argue he is starting to break out. You're a little skeptical that the breakout's happening because I've seen it coming.
No, I'm saying, he had the potential to be a top 10 player in the country going in, and he has not been that so far. But he might. Well, we might look up in a few weeks and he's there, but he's not there yet.
I'm a Texas A&M fan. I'm a Wade Taylor fan, but that's such a little number with a program the stature of Purdue in its home state inside Caitlin Clark Fieldhouse. I'll lay the 2 points with the Purdue Boilermakers. Game 2, Saturday, 3:30 p.m. Eastern. It's Arizona State versus number 9 Florida inside Killer Mike Arena. You can watch it on the SEC Network. KenPom's got it Florida -8. What's your assessment of Florida? Let's talk about Florida for a second. What's your assessment of Florida?
All right, we'll do Florida, then we'll do Arizona State. By the way, Killer Mike from the A. This game is in Atlanta. It's the Holiday Hoops Giving thing. I think that's what it's called.
It's such a weird one, isn't it? Isn't it one of the weird ones?
Sure. You won't catch me saying anything in Atlanta is weird. That's a loud and proud town, and nothing but respect for the ATL.
Well, I don't mean it like that. I just mean that
you do what you got to do, man.
I just mean Florida and Arizona State playing on Saturday in Atlanta is kind of weird.
Well, it's one of multiple games happening there. So yeah, Florida 9-0. Arizona State's also had a nice season so far. This is a good game. I'm glad you picked it, but hasn't played a really good team yet. And we'll see if Arizona State winds up being a really good team. Best wins at FSU. Probably not going to make the tournament. Beat Wake Forest, a team again. I had Wake Forest in the top 15. The Deeks are 8-3, but they're 108 at KenPom right now. They're 108. They're a power conference team that's 8-3. Started the year like top 40.
Text Ford right now and be like, "Hey, what's going on with KenPom?" And just see what you get.
I'm not even getting them going. There's no chance. There's no chance I'm doing that.
He will lose his mind.
No, I'm not. He probably will. I got too much to do. I cannot.
Just text him and be like, we should all. Hey, anybody that has Steve Forbes' cell number, text him today and just be like, "What's going on with KenPom?"
I'm not even kidding. If I did that right now, there's a real chance he would just call during the middle of the show.
Immediately hit you back. Immediately hit you back and be like, "All right, listen, I know I'm a JUCO guy, so maybe I'm just too stupid to understand this."
Oh, boy. I hadn't thought about that. But
he hates all the computers. He hates all the computers. And I don't blame him. Like, Wake Forest should. I was
108 is.
I don't know. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I just know that it's offensive to Steve Forbes. I guarantee it.
Gotcha. Anyway, Steve Forbes couldn't beat Florida. 75-58. That's adding to it. UF also has a win over Wichita State. They're 88th right now. And Virginia, which is 101. The point is they're undefeated. They're highly ranked. They've been crushing a ton of teams, but they haven't beat a team of note. And in addition to this, obviously, in the background is this investigation into Todd Golden, which has still not been resolved and finished. So he's continued to coach throughout this, and no additional information has come out about any of that. So we wait to see when that has resolution, but he has not been suspended throughout all of it. And Florida has maintained an undefeated mark here. We'll see if he can get out of the weekend and still be without a scratch on the L column here. Arizona State is a quality team, but Gators are intriguing because they're highly ranked. They're undefeated. How good are they? They're yet another quality team that's helping build out the SECs, overall reputation. So I don't know. We wait and see on that real quick, and then take it from Florida with what you want, GP. Arizona State is 8-1. Has the loss that was competitive at Gonzaga, but it's got better wins than Florida right now. Neutral against Santa Clara. New Mexico beat St. Mary's. It's narrow, but they've got a chance here, and they've got young good talent. Joseph Sinnon and Jaden Quaintance, both a couple of freshmen who've been good. Adam Miller has stepped up this season and been solid. So admittedly, this kind of game, you got to love college hoops, so maybe you want to specifically find the time and bring it up on the TV. But it's got a chance to be really entertaining here, and we'll find out a bit more about one of these teams, because it feels like a toss-up to me. The number's pretty big. I'm going to pick it before you give me what you want to give me on these teams. I'm going to take Arizona State to get inside this number here, but I think there's a chance that Florida might just wipe the floor again, and we look up and they wind up winning this thing by 18. But I'll take the Sun Devils to be inside the number.
I've got Arizona State in the top 25-1 right now. I mean, you mentioned it. Only one loss. It's the Gonzaga loss. They've got 4 top 100 wins. I guess there's not some big signature win quite yet, but I've got them in the top 25-1. Let's talk about Florida. They're 9th in the AP poll right now. I've got them 16th in the top 25-1, and I don't want to say every day, but some days Florida fans notice that, tweet me, and ask me why I have Florida so low. I've made a promise to myself. I'll break it sometimes, I guess, if I feel like there's a valid question, but I'm just not going to spend my time arguing with people about rankings on social media. But I do get asked often, like, why am I lower on Florida than, say, AP voters are in Florida, or the computers are in Florida, because they have strong computer numbers. So here would be the explanation for that. I had them 22nd to start the season. Now they're 9-0, and all 9 wins have come by at least 13 points. They've got strong computer numbers. That's the good. But their best win probably is Florida State. They have 0 wins over top 70 teams in the net, or top 70 teams at Torvik, or top 60 teams at KenPom. I've got 26 teams in the top 25-1. You can probably figure out the math on that. Trivia time. How many teams that I have in the top 25-1 have at least one quadrant 1 win?
I'm going to say 25. And Florida's the only one that doesn't. That's just a blind guess. It feels like you're leading me down that path.
Oh, you're right. 25 of the 26 teams have at least one quadrant 1 win. Auburn and Oregon have a national best 4 each. The only school that doesn't is Florida. They're 0-0 in quadrant 1, 2-0 in quadrant 2, 3-0 in quadrant 3, 4-0 in quadrant 4. Strength of schedule right now is 305 according to the net. So you go to the AP poll if you want to and do the same thing. There's 25 teams in that. 23 of the 25 teams in the AP poll have at least one quadrant 1 win. The only teams that don't, number 9 Florida and number 22 Cincinnati. So Florida might turn out to be great. That's not the point I'm making. I'm aware of the strong computer numbers, but I'm not typically somebody who is going to march you from 22 into the top 10 when you haven't beaten anybody in the top 70 of the net or top 60 of any of the computers I normally reference. Like, typically, if you're going to go from outside of the top 20 to inside of the top 10, I need you to beat somebody at some point. And at this point, they really haven't. I don't know that they have a win over a lock NCAA tournament team, or perhaps even a likely NCAA tournament team right now. So they might turn out to be great, but they do not have, literally, they are the only team in the top 25-1 that doesn't have a quadrant 1 win. And, I think that says something about what they've actually accomplished so far this season.
I know what that says.
I'm a Sun Devil. Look at me. I'm a Sun Devil. +8, baby. Give it to me. +8. I'm a Sun Devil. Game 3, Saturday, 5:15 p.m. Eastern. It's Louisville at number 5 Kentucky inside Rick Pitino Arena. You can watch it on ESPN. KenPom's got a Kentucky -11. Rick Pitino guided both of these programs to national championships. Pay respect. Acknowledge him. Get your one up. Norlander, get your one up. Acknowledge Rick Pitino.
Good.
Acknowledge Rick Pitino.
I'm not getting my one up right now.
Get your one up and acknowledge Rick Pitino.
Not going to happen. Did you see what Pat Kelsey said earlier this week?
He said, "Man, my wife's hot. I'm cool."
Yeah, basically. So here's the headline from one of my go-to sources for college basketball news, and that's, of course, the Daily Mail. Louisville coach bizarrely thanks his hot wife in press conference. First of all, I think there's nothing but appropriate times and places to thank your hot wife for a lot of things. In fact, if the mic just picked it up all of 37 seconds ago, my hot wife was calling me. I'm not quite sure why. She knew I was podcasting, but then again, she was going to pick up a Christmas present.
I don't even know if my wife knows I have a podcast. I don't even know if she knows this exists.
She definitely knows that I was podcasting, and yet that didn't stop her all the same there. Here's what Kelsey said. Quote, we get a bunch of, well, he was apparently, directly, you know what? I'm going to quote the Daily Mail directly, even the lead in, okay?
I do that all the time.
Of course. Why would we not? Kelsey was asked about the emotional challenges of getting ready for a mid-major like UTEP compared to blue blood programs, comparing it to like Duke and Kentucky. Not to mention Duke is arguably the best team in the ACC, and the Wildcats are the Cardinals' biggest rivals. Quote, we get a bunch of free sneakers. We wear suits to work, Kelsey said. My kids are healthy. My wife is hot. I've got a pretty good life. We get to play college basketball. We get to play in the Yum Center. We get ready for UTEP, Kelsey said. Sounds good to me, and you know what? I appreciate a man that can shout out his hot wife anytime, any place. Good on you, Pat Kelsey. Louisville right now, it's just okay to start. 6-4. We've talked about the fact they've had a couple players that had to end their season due to injuries there. Here's a hell of an opportunity to go and play Kentucky at Rupp. What did you say this number is?
11.
Woo!
Big number.
Doggies.
That's a lot of points to give to a man with a hot wife. You know what I'm saying?
Are you saying Mark Pope doesn't have a hot wife?
No, I'm not saying that at all.
I think that's exactly what you might be saying.
I'm just saying 11. Wow. I just named Mark Pope National Coach of the Year yesterday. Don't you try that. I'm not the one headed Iowa State outside of the top 20. That's not me. No, I'm just saying.
Did you have UConn not losing a game, by the way?
I did have UConn going undefeated.
Yeah, you did.
It's not.
I got some arrows in the quiver. Just letting you know, okay? Keep it tight over there.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
How hot do you think Mark Pope's wife is?
I find it wildly inappropriate to be commenting on other men's wives. I don't think I'm a.
So we have found the one topic on this podcast you're unwilling to go to.
Yes.
The one topic. You want to dig back into Luigi?
Please, let's go back to.
Exactly.
I think Luigi's. He's got nice abs.
Gosh.
They said Kim K should get him out of jail and then make him a Skims model. Luigi.
11 points that's a lot, but F it. I'm going with Kentucky. It's looked tremendous. No Creasa, obviously, but at home, Rupp Arena, man, that fan base is always up for this game.
Rick Pitino Arena.
But first year with Mark Pope. Yeah, Wildcats win and cover. Give me them to win big.
What coach do you think's got the hottest wife in college basketball?
I'm just glad we finally found a topic you're not willing to go into here on this pod. I can't believe it took years, so I finally found the one genre that you won't touch. And I respect it.
I have an idea.
All right. Well,
I have an idea. Here's what I hope. I hope that Pat keeps. I hope Pat keeps going back to this. I don't hope that Louisville loses.
You hope they lose, and he goes, you know what? I'm good. My wife's hot.
Yes. I don't hope that Louisville loses. That's not what I hope. But because I don't hope for things like that. I don't hope for things like that. But sometimes I do. In certain situations, but not in this situation. But in the off chance that Louisville loses, even gets blown out, it would be hilarious to me if it's like, all right, and here's Louisville coach Pat Kelsey. Coach, your opening comments. And he's like, all right, so we got killed on the boards. All right. And you just cannot give up a 16-3 run in what was a tight game with 11 minutes to go. It got away from us. And now we're sitting here as a 5-loss team. I know we've lost 4 of our last 5, but Have you seen my wife? If you think I'm going to get stressed out about this nonsense, my kids are healthy.
Okay.
My wife is hot.
All right. We don't need you cosplaying as Pat Kelsey.
I want to be Pat Kelsey.
I don't like where this is going. Can we get team 4, please?
I would like to conduct Pat Kelsey's next press conference. In all seriousness, it's a wonderful outlook on life. I don't know if it'll play well if you keep losing games.
The more Louisville loses, the hotter Pat Kelsey's wife gets.
Yes.
That's quite the inverse dynamic there, but sure, why the hell not?
He's gonna show up with like a poster of her. It's a wonderful. Seriously. I mean this sincerely. If you have healthy children and a hot wife, your life is great.
Oh, without a doubt.
If you have healthy children and your wife is hot, your life really is great.
I'm living that life right now.
Me too, man. Happier. Look at us. Look how happy we are. Me, you, and Pat Kelsey are. Man, we got it good.
He's in a pod.
And Pat Kelsey, we got it good. Game 4. I don't think I picked it. I'm taking Pat Kelsey. I ain't picking against. I cannot comfortably give a man with a hot wife and healthy kids 11 points. That seems
directly going against Mark Pope. But you do what you got to do.
I named Mark Pope the National Coach of the Year 24 hours ago. All right. Me and Fink both on it. All right. I love Mark Pope. But that is 11 points is in a rival.
You might love him more than his wife. Let's go. Game 4.
Points to a man with healthy children and a hot wife. That's a big number in a rivalry game. I'm taking Louisville plus the 11, but I think Kentucky wins the game. Mark Pope is the National Coach of the Year. Game 4, Saturday, 7 p.m. Eastern. It's number 6 Marquette at Dayton inside Jalen Crutcher Arena. You can watch it on CBS Sports Network. I'll be in studio. I'm going to watch it with you. Kim Palm's got it Marquette -1. Little number.
That's true. These teams last met in 2008, by the way. Dayton has owned Marquette since 2001. They've played 3 times since 2001, and Dayton won all of them. Marquette's looking for its first dub over the Flyers. I don't quite know why this game is on the books, but I love it. Shaka Smart, not scared whatsoever, going on the road.
No, he's preparing in case they end up in the first 4.
That's not going to happen. You've always hated Marquette. You've always hated this program.
No, it was this is what I heard. It was like, okay, we're losing Tyler Kolek. I don't think we're going to end up in the first 4, but if we do, we need to be prepared for that. Let's go ahead and get a game there in December. That's what I was told.
Marquette is the highest ranked team to play at Dayton Arena in the regular season, or maybe it's period. I guess the first 4 teams don't rank this high since 6th ranked Pitt did it in 1997. So pretty cool stuff for an awesome fan base that loves its ball, always shows up big. I've always wanted to see a game at UD Arena, not yet done that, but this is a pretty awesome opportunity for a Dayton team. Remember, they've already got a win over a top 10 Big East team at the time. They beat UConn and Maui, and now they get Marquette coming to their home floor here. Cam Jones, here's a little nugget. I got a trivia time for you.
Yeah, it's a little homie from Memphis.
Yeah, Cam Jones right now.
Yeah.
He's averaging 20 points, more than 20 points and more than 5 assists right now.
Mm-hmm.
How many players in D1 do you think are averaging at least 20 points and 5 assists?
Cam Jones.
Yep.
The dude Doug Gottlieb refuses to play.
He did miss a shoot around.
I know. I actually thought that was fine. I know people are like, "What is he doing?" I thought it was fine. Like he didn't show up for shoot around. Like,
you can't do that. Like,
I totally get it.
Phoenix is 9, but completely justifiable. But
I thought that was a weird place for people to jump on Doug. Like, there's going to be a million places for people to jump on Doug. I thought that was a weird one. He had his best player missed shoot around.
Anthony Roy is averaging 27.2 points, 2.6 assists.
He don't like to pass.
He's got the leading score in America. Well, I mean, that's 2.6 assists. That's not bad. That's not Ace Bailey territory. Not even close.
He ain't Ace Bailey. All right. He ain't no Ace Bailey.
No.
How many? Okay, so we know it's Cam Jones.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say there's 3 players in the country that are doing that.
You lose.
Damn. Cammy Jones, only player in the country. In
My
fact,
little homie from Memphis.
only player in the country averaging at least 20 and 5. If he continues at this pace, give you the exact number right now for Cam Jones, who is just an absolute joy to watch play basketball. 20.3 points, 6.6 assists, in addition to 4.7 rebounds. But if he clears 20 and 5, He'll be only the third Big East player since 86-87 at least to average those. Bryce Cotton did it with Providence in 2013-14. Underrated player, good dude to remember. Bryce Cotton, that's a good name. And Billy Donovan in 86-87 averaged more than 20 points and 5 assists. People forget he could really ball. This is a really good game. It could come down to turnovers. Marquette's one of the best teams in the country at turning teams over. 17.2 per game is what Marquette averages. Meanwhile, Dayton is top 10 in not turning it over. 9.2 giveaways. Which team wins that battle might wind up winning the game. Dayton +1. Give me the Flyers straight up.
I know you've never been to Dayton Arena, UD Arena. I have. Shaka Smart has. In fact, Shaka Smart and I were there together. His run to the Final Four at VCU
began. You were for .com. You covered that first 4 run that year. That
I was there.
That would have been 2011.
I was in
first year covering the tournament for CBS.
Yeah, I was in Dayton. I was there for that game. I don't remember where I went after that, but I was there for that. So having shared that, Shock and I have shared an experience in Dayton.
He probably has no memory of you being there.
I barely have a memory of me being there.
But you remember it.
I do remember it. Shock and I have shared experiences in Dayton, and I'm not comfortable picking against him in an arena where I saw him take a VCU team and launch a run to the Final Four. Like, we shared that together. Shock and I did that together. Went to the 2011 Final Four, and it started for us in Dayton. I can't, all these years later, go back to Dayton and expect him not to flourish in that place the same way he did once upon a time. So when you combine that with my little homie from Memphis, I got to lay the 1 point. Golden Eagles -1.
All right. That means it's on me. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to pick the N1 game right now. We'll take a break, and then there's even more that I want to talk about. So we'll flesh this out. We usually
this is a weird order. This is not. I'm not comfortable with this.
You got to get ready. Here we go. The N1.
I'm not comfortable with what you're doing.
There are a lot of candidates here, and this is an awesome weekend. The N1 is Saturday, 5:30 Eastern on Fox. Orange on Orange. Tennessee at Illinois on Luther Head Court.
Yes.
Vols are -3 per KenPom. Just saw Tennessee play at the Garden earlier this week. #1 team in the country. Illinois has, I believe, 3 wins in its history against #1 teams, and all of them have come in Champaign, I believe. Tennessee -3. Super intriguing game here. Who you got?
Earlier in the week, I think you and we were talking about Tennessee, and I believe what we agreed on is I'm not sure Tennessee's really the best team in the country, but it is the team that deserves to be ranked #1 in the AP poll right now. Did we have that conversation, or am I making that up?
Yeah, we had that conversation.
Okay. Coincidentally, I was talking to, let's just say, an SEC coach earlier in the week, and I said, hey, what do you, like, your league's super deep and super strong and could go down as like the best in history. I was like, who do you really think? Like, I can look at the rankings, but like, you've seen it, you know it. Who do you really think's the best team in this league? Tennessee. That's what I was told. Tennessee. They have the highest ceiling. They have the smallest things that concern you. Team's legitimate. This feels like a trust the building situation to me.
Okay.
This feels like a trust the building situation to me.
What's the name of the building?
They changed it. They did something to it.
Changed it. What's it traditionally known as?
Assembly.
There we go.
Right.
Assembly what?
It wasn't assembly. I just always hated it. We should never have 2 assemblies. I was never okay with that. I was never okay with having 2 assemblies.
It was Assembly Hall.
Yeah, I don't like that. That seems ridiculous to me. Why couldn't they work that out?
I don't know. I think Illinois might have come first, but I don't know that to be the case. Indiana fans, I don't know that to be the case.
Somebody, you can't. It's like George Foreman naming all his kids.
You know what happened here is one of these got built first. It wound up working out. People started noticing, and they said, you know what? We got to trust the building. We got to name it the same exact name.
That's why.
That's how you get here.
I know, and that's why Did you hear at Vanderbilt they're building a new arena?
Wheels are turning. Yeah. Okay.
And do you know what they're going to call it? New arena at Vanderbilt they're building. You know what they're going to call it?
Go ahead.
Pinnacle Bank.
Yeah.
Same mindset. This is a trust the building situation. I don't know what it's called. And I don't. But this is a trust
State Farm Center, just so we're clear.
It's what?
The State Farm Center.
Yeah, I knew that. This is not a great
On
time to be
Louisville court.
Is this a good time to be an insurance company, though?
Okay. It's not the same area, but sure. Pick the damn game.
I want to trust the building, but this is a bad time to be an insurance company. So how do you balance those things when you're trying to predict a winner of a basketball game? You want to trust the building, but insurance company? This is volatile times. I'm going to trust the building. Give me the Illini as underdogs at home.
I'm right there with you, buddy. I'm also going to take Illinois as a home dog, just like I did with Dayton. Not a flip on that mic here. GP earlier in the show had said there are 4 teams that are top 15 in offensive and defensive efficiency. We put up a poll and asked our live audience which team do they trust the most. Those 4 teams were Duke, Houston, Iowa State, and Tennessee. Nada, who is leading that poll?
Iowa State is leading this poll, 64%. Then you got Tennessee at 24%, Duke at 7%, and then Houston comes in last at 5%.
And yet, Houston has been the most reliable team over the past. Interesting. Iowa State. You know what? Some of that could be Cyclone fans excited in the chat here the morning after. They're populating even more, but that's a big time. Which one do you trust most, GP? Duke, Houston, Iowa State, Tennessee. Who do you trust most? Big picture over the next 3 months.
Iowa State.
There we go. You've always hated Rick Barnes.
I don't know why they would be outside of anybody's top 20 in the preseason.
Nada, let's get one more word from our partners and our hot wives, and then we'll preview the rest of rundown what to know here on Saturday in college hoops.
Historic rivals with unforgettable seasons meet in a game of honor. The Army-Navy game presented by USAA, December 14th on CBS.
All right, GP. Here's what you need to know for the weekend. Friday, we dodged that. We could have gone a Friday night Final Four and won. This at Pinnacle Bank Arena, Indiana at Nebraska. Keep an eye on it. I mean, this. Frankly, I'll be honest. Okay, I know that you wanted to open the show, give me grief over the Iowa State ranking, and that was a fine decision. Personally, I was prepared for you to open today's show laying out your Friday, your travel plans. I figure you definitely booked your flight to New York to get you in time in front of a television, build out your entire night around the fact that Indiana's got to play at Nebraska tonight.
Man,
that is the Hoosiers 40th at Ken Palm, trying to get into that top 25 at Ken Palm, going on the road and facing a Nebraska team that is 6-2, Pinnacle Bank Arena. I thought this was B-block material at worst, but nevertheless, here we are.
You know what? I'm not usually in studio on Saturdays during the season unless it's like, conference championship weeks or the NCAA tournament. So I'm not usually in New York on Friday night. And I actually had this thought, at some point yesterday or whenever. I was like, man, going to be in the greatest city in the world on a Friday night. What am I going to get into? I'm just going to watch the Hoosiers go into Pinnacle Bank. That's what I'm getting into.
Damn straight. That's the only game of note on Friday.
That's a tough situation, man. That is not how you want to. That's not how you want to spend a Friday night in Pinnacle Bank, buddy. That sounds like a nightmare.
That's a tough one there. All right. Saturday is slammed. GP will be in studio for CBS Sports Network. I will be in studio from about 5 p.m. Eastern on in CBS Sports HQ studios, just down the road in Stamford, Connecticut. So watch us both. Have it on another screen. We'll be providing commentary, highlights aplenty. It is that kind of Saturday. And this, by the way, is intentionally designed. Army Navy on CBS on Saturday during the day. Always an incredible viewing experience there. But beautiful. The only college. We'll go ahead, GP.
It's just a beautiful thing to watch. To put your eyes on.
Yes. And by the way, contract extended all the way to 2038. Army Navy on CBS, where it should be. But because it's the only college football game the day. Thankfully, college coaches and I guess TV networks probably play a certain role in this as well. This Saturday, and especially in recent years here, has been really loaded up with non-conference games, and it intentionally, after we get past the MTE stuff, you had a lot of finals this week for a lot of schools. Even the next few days after this are not populated with a lot of games. This is the one where teams are like, and teams of top 30, top 40 coaches are looking like, okay, we got to get one more good non-conference game on the slate. Let's put it on the second Saturday in December. Really, really cool thing. And as a result, if you're a college hoops fan, just loaded with games throughout the day. So non-final 4-1 games to keep an eye on. Obviously, there's a biggie that we didn't get to yet. We'll get to that in just a second. But we'll go in chronological order. 7-2 Memphis at 9-1 Clemson, which is ranked 16th in the country. That is going to get your day going on Saturday at 11 Eastern on ESPN2. Really good opportunity for both teams. If Memphis can play well, that actually has the potential to be a really, really good game. The Hoopsgiving Fest in Atlanta, we talked about that earlier with Florida and Arizona State. Auburn and Ohio State will go before that. Auburn's ranked second in the country. Ohio State is 6-3. This is a 1 Eastern tip on ESPN2. Buckeyes have been getting deeblered as of late. We'll see if they can avoid that here. Kind of a big game for the Buckeyes for any kind of non-conference heft whatsoever. The crosstown, whatever we're calling it as, rivalry shootout. I don't know what the name.
Zip them up. This game, now this is a function of the Big 12's media rights deal with ESPN. Dude, Xavier at number 22 Cincinnati. These are teams that are combined 15-3. This game is on ESPN Plus. What are we doing? Awesome game.
Zip them up.
You can't put a murder on network television,
okay,
Norlander.
Well,
you got to take a possible murder to a streaming platform. Everybody knows this.
It is on a streaming platform.
Zip them up.
Tremendous rivalry game every year. They play.
What was my dude's name? 2 Holloway.
There we go. Of course.
Zip them up.
Zip them up, without a doubt.
That was so
Quote
good.
That will live in infamy, as it
So
should. In fact, the Zip them up game happened the same day as the Christian Wofford shot to beat Kentucky.
How do we both remember that?
Because we bring it up almost every year on the show, and I remember because how about this? Here's a GP-ism for me. I remember this because whatever game was happening I was at the Garden that day watching both of these things play out in the press room of MSG. I can't even remember the game that I was covering, but what I was covering was not relevant. It was the Kentucky and Watford, Indiana stuff, and the Xavier, Kenny Freeze, 2 Holloway. My guy Yancey Gates involved in that. I mean,
Yancey Gates was definitely involved in that. I think Yancey Gates was the one that he might kill somebody. I remember looking at Yancey Gates and going, he might kill somebody.
I don't remember thinking that, but regardless, it was an incredible, incredible day, and it amped the rivalry so much so that I think, unfortunately, they had to take it off campus for 2 years or 4 years because of that. Thankfully, this is now back on campus. Cincinnati gets to host. That's a 2 Eastern tip. 2:30 Eastern, ACC Network. Syracuse at Georgetown. I only include both teams aren't going to make the tournament probably, although Georgetown 7-2. Cooley's at least gotten off to a decent start with an easy non-conference schedule. Can this game mean something again soon, please? Like Georgetown, Syracuse, thankfully they have continued to play, even though both programs have been down. Both programs have undergone head coaching changes in the past year, and I just want Georgetown and Syracuse to mean something again. So hopefully this isn't a deal where they're kind of playing and it's just whatever, and the attention around it really is non-existent outside of those two districts, if you will, and fan bases there. But damn, I'd love to see Georgetown and Hughes mean something again. At least they're, making it a point to schedule each other, even though they've no longer been in the same league. A good one that I thought GP was going to put on the Final 4-1. Number 24 UCLA 8-1 is going to play Arizona, which is 4. Remember, Arizona is 4-4. This is a 3:30 Eastern tip on ESPN2. This game is played in Phoenix. I'd love for it to be on campus, but this year it is not. Before I continue, GP, damn urgent game for Tommy Lloyd's Wildcats here, because they got Big 12 play coming up around the corner here, and they have been among the most disappointing, if not the most disappointing team in the country to this point. Yeah, this is the first time Tommy's ever dealt with something like this in his head coaching career. Like, he's never had a team that was struggling. I mean, that's
That's accurate, right? He's never had a team that struggled.
No.
And this team is struggling out of the gates. We talked about
period. Going back to like when he was an assistant for
like
forever at Gonzaga.
He might have never had a team struggle ever.
This really is at this point, he just hasn't had something like this before. Yeah.
Right. And we talked about it previously. I was always concerned about the roster. I just looked, I thought what left was better than what came in. And yet I was just like, but you got to have him in there somewhere because it's Tommy and it's Arizona and he's never not had a good team. But I don't want to say I'm not surprised that they're 4-4 because I am surprised they're 4-4. I'm not surprised that they've underachieved a little relative to expectations because I think the expectations were largely tied to this is Arizona and Tommy Lloyd as opposed to look at that roster. That's one of the 20 best rosters in the country.
And here's a biggie here. We'll see how it goes. I look forward to the post-game interview with Andy Katz. CBS Sports Network, 5:30 Eastern. St. Bonaventure is 9-1 right now. They are looking good so far in the Mark Schmidt, Adrian Wojnarowski era. They play 7-4 Providence. This is at Mohegan Sun. It's a good tip. GP will be in studio, of course, and if Bona can win this, then really might be cooking with something here. And this is obviously a really good opportunity for not just the program, but for the A10, which has done decently for itself. Good and big weekend, by the way, for the Atlantic 10, 5:30 tip on CBS Sports Network. Catch GP in studio there. And then we'll obviously also have highlights on CBS Sports HQ. Then three more of note. I'll drop the chronological order to save the biggie for last. St. Mary's plays Boise State. St. Mary's is also quietly 9-1. Really heavy resume game for both teams. That's 9 Eastern on Saturday. You've got 7-3 Creighton, which just apparently had two non-impact players just they quit the team. They're going in the portal. Creighton is at Alabama, which is 7-2, 7th ranked in the country. That's an SEC network game at 8:30, but it is a good one, and we want to see what Creighton can do on the road here. Alabama, this in the preseason, this looked like it might potentially be a game between two teams ranked in the top 15. Creighton currently unranked, but has been improving as of late. We'll see what we get there. And then the other biggie, of course, frankly, if it wasn't such a loaded day of college hoops, because it's so loaded, it's why you're in the studio. It's why I'm in the studio. I'd be there at the Garden, but I will not be there. Gonzaga, 8th ranked in the country, going against number 14 UConn. This is an 8 Eastern tip on Fox. And it's a big time matchup here. I mean, UConn looking to get yet another quality win in December. December treating the Huskies much better than November did to this point here. This game carries a lot of significance for both teams, but for UConn more than Gonzaga. Gonzaga 7-2. It's got a win over Baylor at this point. One at San Diego State. Has defeated Indiana. Could sure use another nice resume win here. The only one remaining on the schedule outside of WCC play. They've got a game against UCLA after Christmas and before New Year's. Be interested to see what Gonzaga does in this one with its offense, going against a UConn team that obviously runs a really good offense as well. These are both top 5 in the country in adjusted offensive efficiency at KP site. And it was Baylor, then Texas. Now it's Gonzaga. Xavier is waiting, by the way, next week. But that is that's a really good matchup and a chance. I really hope that we're talking on our next pod about a game here that went into the high 80s, if not the 90s here, because both these teams, if really clicking overall, can really make it happen. So a really cool game between two awesome programs at the Garden. That should be an awesome Saturday night affair.
All right. We're going to call that a pod? Is that a podcast?
We're going to call it a pod. I think that's a podcast. GP and I, if we are able, Sunday is barren. There's nothing of true note from a national perspective.
Sunday's a good day to just spend time with your hot wife and healthy children, I think.
I will be doing that. Anyway, the point is this. We don't yet know how our Saturday
children. I'll be with my wife and children, not yours. I didn't want anybody to get the wrong idea.
Fair enough. Saturday night with GP in studio in New York City, and I'll be in studio in Stanford. We don't yet know how our workflows will go. However, because Sunday has nothing, if we are able and in a position to podcast Saturday and recap everything, we will do that for you and do a rare Saturday late night recap. But if either of us winds up going too long and it gets, after midnight or well after midnight, then we'll push that off and we'll give it to you at some point on Sunday and make sure that gets taken care of for you. But we want to get you the podcast sooner than later because there's nothing to wait around for on Sunday as is. So keep an eye out. And you know what? You know the best way to know when to watch us is if you subscribe to the YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Okay. And I believe there's still that little bell icon. Make sure you ding the bell.
I don't know if that works.
I know. This goes back to literally like the second show we've ever done. However, I'm going to say do it anyway, because why not? Just give it a go. If you do that, when we go live, I believe then you get the prompt either on your phone, in your email. And when we're live, if you're just chilling at home with your hot wife on the couch, you
Healthy children and healthy children.
Norlander and GP.
Yeah.
Going live. I got to step away here.
Hey, baby. Hey, baby, can you still be hot in an hour?
Yeah.
Can you still be hot in an hour?
70 minutes, by the way, but they're telling me it might be an hour. They're telling me they're going to do this podcast in less than an hour, but they usually go long. So let's make it 75 minutes.
Hey, baby doll, just stay hot. I'll be back in a minute.
There we go.
Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Terry Teagle, he's a legend. Huck and Larnell. Thank you guys once again for watching and listening to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts. Apple, Spotify. More of us than there are of them.
Yep.
You don't end up with the hottest wife unless you're committed to the cause. That's my experience, at least. You know? I mean, I know there's exceptions to every rule.
Sure.
I know there's exceptions to every rule.
Naturally.
But I know what the rule is.
Of course.
I know there's exceptions.
Okay.
But I know what the rule is.
That's a show.
There's more of us than there are of them. That should be reflected in the comments. So do that. We'll talk to you again real soon. Till then, take care.